was started by my great grandfather, George Garvin Brown, and he was a pharmaceutical sales rep. And he recognized a void in the market for a consistently high quality product that consumers could trust. And he just took the initiative to do it himself. And ever since then, everything we've done with the same values in mind. Actually, the beverage alcohol industry is a little bit different than most industries. We tend to do well in good times, and we tend to do well in bad times. It's actually kind of a pretty good hedge against kind of fluctuations in the market, believe it or not. I would also say that, when COVID hit, Brown-Forman's knee-jerk reaction wasn't how can we benefit from this? It was, what can we do? So overnight, we changed the distilleries over from manufacturing beverage alcohol to manufacturing cleaning and sanitizing alcohol, which we've been providing to hospitals and healthcare professionals around the country for free. I'll just say that I've always felt a need to prove myself worthy of being in the family, and I needed to step up and get things done. And they have that saying, like, first generation makes the money, second generation makes the money more, and then third generation blows the money. Well, I'm oldest of the sixth generation, and I intend to grow the money. It's just what it is. Sorry, brother, I don't twirl my gun. I just reach the trigger. So for the last 15 years, we've been all over the board. And when I say we, I'm using a kind of a cumulative we across all the private equity firms that I'm involved with, and even private deals that I'm doing just myself, and then private deals that I'm doing with other buddies. So we've gotten into everything from buying Shell Oil Jamaica out and starting a distribution of fuel. We bought the blending facilities, the gas stations, the tankers. We set up a distribution hub in Jamaica. It's geographically located as kind of a hub of a wheel, and we did that. We did Blue Entertainment Sports Television, where we had over 500 professional athletes. We've bought flooring companies. We've indulged in new types of syringes. I mean, we're kind of all over the board. We're very opportunistic. The guidances for the private equity firms that I work with are not restricted to a specific industry, because we're dealing with our own money. We're not, so it's different. We're more flexible. We're more agile. So we're kind of all over the place. But in the last 4 years, we have really been keying on technology, media, digital entertainment, communications, and quality of life products and services. And I can't stress that enough. That's where we're actively looking. Now, if some great deal comes across the table that we just can't pass up, we'll pounce on it. I would say that the public markets it's a dynamic situation where there's a lot of money looking to be invested in a limited amount of industries and avenues, right? And all of the factors are driving prices up, and I can get into that a little bit. COVID basically shut down certain industries and financial vehicles. that, all investors typically have a proportional amount of their AUM planned to go to those sectors. Well, that AUM is now not going to those sectors. And in fact, COVID has made those industries and vehicles so unappealing that everybody that's been putting AUM into those sectors and industries and companies are pulling their money out. So that means there's more money to put someplace else. When COVID hit, the big financial institutions stopped their forward guidance, which means they had a war chest of money that they already planned to allocate to the industries that were shut down, and they're not doing it now, but all other industries. They just stopped their forward guidance and took a step back and said, what are we going to do? So that's more money that needs to be invested in now a more limited array of investment possibilities. On top of that, you've got government spending, subsidizing and supporting companies and industries that, they're doing the best they can to keep everybody alive, but what they're also doing is artificially supporting their prices. And the market is kind of not paying it. If the market started seeing airline stocks falling sharply, there might be a fire sale and then you could see the collapse of the airline industry. Well, the government can't allow that. So, the government is giving more money to people, and that's more money to be invested in a narrower allotment of industries. And I have a good buddy. When I mean a good buddy, I mean somebody I've known for 25 years or more and is an expert in their field. And this good buddy of mine, actually, we went through grade school together. He ended up getting hit by a bulldozer and one of those pikes went through the back of his head. He was paralyzed in a coma for months and months. I took him his homework and stuff from school and helped him do his homework. He ended up finishing high school. We actually, at the Fraser Rehab, got him to be able to walk and talk and everything else again. He's married now with kids, and he actually serves on the macroeconomic think tank for the Federal Reserve Bank. And he told me 2 days ago that when 2008, 2009, the recession hit, the Fed expanded their balance sheet, which means they printed money from $1 trillion to $4 trillion. So they printed $3 trillion, and it didn't affect inflation at all. In fact, historically, over the last 10 years, inflation has stayed below 1.5%. The Fed would like to see it at 2%. So it didn't budge. Now, when COVID hit this time, the Fed expanded from 4 billion to $7 trillion. And it hasn't affected inflation whatsoever. So, and they're planning to keep injecting money to keep supporting industries, to keep supporting companies keep sending money to families that need it. So, they're not afraid to keep sending money. So that's more money that, is in the market. And it also means that these prices that we're seeing, these price per, over earnings are astronomical, right? So, and, I've got a cousin at Morgan Stanley that he says, he likes to say that the market is being driven by FOMO and TINA, okay? The fear of missing out, and there is no alternative. And that's really very true. The market's seeing overinflated, artificially supported prices, and everybody's got a lot more money than usual to invest, and that's driving up prices. I, for one, do not want to invest in Zoom, where they're trading at over 1,500 times earnings, right? I don't want to wait 1,000 years to make my money back. If I make a bet and I place money down on Zoom and buy some Zoom, all I'm doing is betting that there's going to be a bunch of other idiots behind me that invest in Zoom. And I don't really like playing the crowd psychology or the crowd mentality or betting on I don't like betting on what's going to be popular in the future. If you're doing those bets, you're already kind of late to the table and you missed your window to make an execution. So it's a really weird world that we're living in. And I, for one, I'm setting aside some dry powder so that when some of the prices start collapsing and I see some good companies that will survive. All right, well, so for the last 15 years, I averaged about 300,000 to 500,000 miles in an airplane per year. That's a lot. So that's over 1,000 miles a day. That's hard to do. I lived, sleep, ate in airplanes. I made my introductory meetings to establish the relationship, and then I maintained the relationship through my cell phone. Text, call, email, all on my phone, right? And video conference, all on my phone. Now, I'm not traveling internationally. I'm still traveling domestically. But, life has continued on for me kind of as per norm, except for the introductory meetings. And the thing was, when COVID hit, the whole world in the business world kind of shut down for about a month and a half because nobody knew how to operate. And then it seemed like all at once, everybody figured out Zoom and video conference call, and then everybody sent out meeting appointments, and the next 3 months were scheduled, because everybody knew it was back on and back live and ready to get back to work. So the only thing that's changed for me is now it's socially acceptable and internationally acceptable to do an initial meeting via Zoom. So I'm not traveling as much. It's kind of weird. I'm discovering that I want to do things to my house and get more comfortable couches and bigger TVs. I don't know. Well, as I said before, for the last 4 years, we have been focusing on technology, media, digital entertainment, communications, and quality of life products and services. So I wanted to get into those spaces, but I have a confession. I am not good at technology. I can hardly work a microwave. So to get into that industry, how you gonna do that? Well, you can't just learn the dynamics of an industry and earn your battle scars and know the nuances of things and get the decades of experience that you need overnight. You can't read a book to do that. But fortunately, I have a term. It's called a good buddy. Now, a good buddy is somebody I've known for 25 years or more and have trusted for 25 years or more, and they happen to be an expert in the field, in the industry or field that they're in. And so I'd like to introduce you to a buddy of mine who can field the MIT question a little bit better than I can. And to give you perspective, he's not just a good buddy. His family and my family go back over 6 generations. So all the way to the founder of Brown-Forman and beyond. Since 1830, we've been playing in the sandbox together. Mac, do you want to take over and speak for me eloquently about that tech stuff?
Sure, Cord, I'm happy to jump in. In just 30 seconds, I had a successful exit with a company called DNOALERT, which is Dynamic Emergency Alert Network, with a $3.2 billion private equity firm called Riverside. Then went on to run Humana's API program. API is kind of the connecting utility in healthcare space. I rolled off that to start the API Foundry, and Court and I have been talking about kind of where we are as a society with COVID. And one of the things in our thesis that we believe is that entrepreneurs will run to the fire, and COVID has created a lot of fire and a lot of opportunity. It's been horrible, I agree, but the world has changed, And we believe strongly that technology is going to have a enormous boondoggle within the next 6 months, with people coming into the space, with investment, with ideation. And so we wanted to raise our flag in partnership with MIT so we could be there to capture it. And boy, I'm glad we did. The world has changed. For what we do, Zoom has been very good. MIT CSAIL Lab's enormous, and we're able to sift through more deals virtually than we could in person. So the mechanics of our fund is we partner with MIT in kind of a few different ways. One is we look for early ideation coming out of MIT that we can be excited about and that we can plug into our vast Rolodex, our network. Companies like SAP, companies like Humana, I mean, the list goes on, GE, it just goes on and on. And then taking companies that are outside of MIT and bringing them into the CSAIL lab to finish off that last mile of their tech. And right now we're gobsmacked over artificial intelligence, quantum computing. Blockchain is providing some interesting use cases around the enormous amount of data that we need to disseminate for meaningful use in healthcare. So we're really, really excited kind of as the company reopens about the opportunities that are going to be there. And the partnerships that we have already, our other partner, a guy named Hank Dudgeon, is a third largest shareholder of Rubicon, which is a unicorn company. Now there's a question. I don't know the answer to that, but I can find out. The companies that come out of MIT, like Dropbox, HP, Boeing, it's just the hits keep coming. And what I'm really impressed with is the undergraduates they're coming in and they're so used to digital. They prefer it. You know, MIT is not going to come back onto campus. All their courses are online, but we're seeing more and more stuff through CSAIL online that I just love. And the students, the technology is perfect. Oh, I feel strongly it's really helped them. They were so prepared for it. If you look at the education in our country and how it's been pivoting towards digital, look at MIT with their blended learning approach. You can get your engineering from MIT, you can get accounting from Harvard, you can put it together. Even my own daughter, who's in 6th grade, prefers online learning. She's starting school tomorrow virtually, and I'm not too thrilled about it. But I really think the millennials, where they struggle is in the meet-to-meet kind of confrontational war room. Where they thrive is in this kind of environment. They're just more at ease and more comfortable.
The hot industries, I believe, and have believed are, over the last 4 years, are technology, media, digital entertainment, communications, and what I like to call quality of life products and services. I see a future where everyone from a 7-year-old to a 90-year-old is conducting business, pleasure, communications. They're spending their time, they're learning their things all through a cell phone. I don't even know if laptops are going to be around. I think people will be carrying around their phone and a little rolled up keypad that they plug into their phone, or maybe it's even Bluetooth to talk on, to type out documents and everything else on the phone. I mean, those technology, media, communications, digital entertainment, and then the quality of life products and services are, I think, where it's at. What I would say is you need a good buddy. You need somebody you trust, somebody who knows a ringer, that knows the industry, that knows the space, that has a great track record of doing, of getting the job done and successfully allocating and investing money with returns and stuff. So, right now we are seeing every VC and PE firm, venture capital and private equity firm, is starting up a tech fund. and they're all kind of doing the same thing with kind of the same stuff. But the question is, do you trust them? Are they the authority on the subject? Are they ringers? How good are they at sifting through the deals? How good are they at managing the deals going forward? Are they a hands-off type of firm that just gives money and walks away and hopes that the company does well? Or do they kind of shepherd and mentor the firm that they've invested in and help them grow and help them get better and stuff? So you're going to see, technology funds sprout up everywhere. Some of the firms are going to be allocating their AUM to companies that are already established with cash flow, and they're going to be saying all they need is a little bit more money to make them bigger. Other companies or venture capital or private equity firms are going to be investing in smaller firms that maybe aren't cash flow, but have a big idea, and they just need good quarterbacking and good guidance to get there and make the leap. We're going to be doing both. We're going to be hitting up with the MIT fund. We've got the feeder from MIT for all the ideas. We're going to cherry pick the best ones, fund them, guide them, and nurture them and grow them and do it that way. But we're also going to be going after some of the more established companies that are making revenues, are making return, and we can see, frankly, it's going to be one of those things where we know a buddy, where we can hook the company up with a contract or some clients that'll immediately double the size of the company, so that we've got kind of an ace in the hole. And the way that you do that is you got to cover a lot of ground by seeing a lot of deals and seeing a lot of technologies, and then you got to put the pieces in the puzzle together. And fortunately, we have an established network. We've been putting it together for 4 years, already been doing it. So we're well positioned for that. But that's what I would say to investors looking to get in the technology world. You need to find somebody you trust who can guide you through it. It's okay if you want to be brave and you want to cherry pick your own companies. And sometimes that's the best way, because I got to tell you right now, with everybody having so much money ready to rock and roll, it's a shark frenzy. These companies are not on the auction block or not up for sale or not up for taking money for very long, because they get money thrown at them so quick, it's over. The round is over. And the next thing you know, you're having to pay a higher price to get in on things, and now you're going to make less money. So you need to get with people that you trust and know, and you need to have the capacity and the willingness to be able to make quick decisions and deploy capital quick, because you might lose your seat at the table. And I don't want to try to instill the FOMO idea, the fear of missing out idea, but unfortunately that's a real thing, because right now there's just, like you said, there's not just hundreds of millions of dollars looking to be allocated in these sectors. There's hundreds of billions of dollars, grotesquely even more than that, ready to be deployed to these sectors. So finding out a strategic way to get in where the prices are reasonable, the potential is great, and the VC or PE fund that you're going with has mechanisms in place to help guide and grow and shepherd the investments is important.